Second time's a charm.
I don't think so. Do you see it there, Mike?
Nope. It bowed.
Oh. All right. We're going to change things up tonight because something was broken, and that's just the way it is. And we're going to go around it. So welcome to My Whiskey Den. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. We greatly appreciate you doing that tonight. We are your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. And tonight, we have two of our favorite guests with us. Adam, who probably had to go sell a bottle of booze to somebody at the store because he is coming to us live from Star Liquor. If you're there, you should actually stop down and see Adam at the store right now and kind of get in on the interview from that side. But otherwise, We have Fred Swanson, who is from the National Brand Ambassador for Dancing Goat Distillery. But these two are two of the four people that started one of our very favorite festivals, Distill America, because it focuses on American products and with a little bit more of a focus, I don't want to say on craft, but you do have all the big boys there as well too, but you don't forget about people. So thank you very much for being here. We really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you everyone in the chat for stopping in this evening. Good to see everyone out there. What is everyone out there having, and what are you guys having to drink today?
Adam, are you drinking?
I haven't poured my drink yet. Oh.
I can show you what I'm drinking. Right there. It's our brand new bourbon that'll be coming out in June. So It's called a Quirky and Humble Blend because it is aged in Quercus humboldti Andean oak barrels from Colombia, thus the term quirky and humble. So I love here's what I love about this. Right there in the front, sourced whiskey. Right there. We're being open, honest, and transparent. So I wish everybody would do more of that so it's not so confusing for the consumer. So that's what I'm having tonight.
Yeah. Very cool.
I have Star Liquor's latest barrel pick here. Private barrel from Elijah Craig. There's only a few left, so I'm going to take a few of them home with me when I leave tonight to make sure that I have a full supply going forward. It's nice. It's not the barrel proof. It's only the 94. So it's very smooth. It's kind of spicy. It's going to be the busiest Monday night after 8 p.m. in history, too, just so you guys are aware.
We did tell people to stop down and see you right now. So,
yeah.
So but before we get any further, do you want to tell people about the Bar Cart Co-op?
I can sure do that. All right. We are proud members of the Bar Cart Co-op, which is a collection of friends who create content for the whiskey and other distilled spirits public. The oldest show in the group is Distillers Talk. New episodes arrive at the end of the work week. It's a conversation with people from distilleries and distillery adjacent, and they get into the weeds with their interviews. Definitely a good nerd dive. But if that's not a nerdy enough dive for you, the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. Well, this show is where Alan Bishop answers your questions, any questions about distilling. He also puts them to the test, and that's the grains, the mash bills, equipment, and methodology. New episodes come out randomly, so subscribe because you could get 3 episodes in a day, and you could get none in a week. It just depends on the questions that come in. Then the classiest one that's on there, which actually, oh my gosh, we're missing some artwork. There it is. Bourbon Turntable. This has the silkiest voice on the internet, Kevin Rose. They mix a love of music with a love of whiskey, and they have the interviews with musicians, writers, distillery folks, such as Fred. It comes out every Wednesday on all platforms, including YouTube, if you want to see the silkiest voice on the internet. And then if you want to get really into it, if you have Ghosts, You Have Everything, which is a show about the spirits and paranormal among us, as well as the unexplained. And subscribe to this one on Spotify. The last 2 seasons have already been done, and the 3rd one is coming up soon.
Excellent. But we're here to talk about Distill America, which is on May 20th in Madison, Wisconsin. There are still some tickets left. If you do not have one, go get some. I believe
fast.
I was going to say it. I can't believe you don't have one already. Most of our viewers already do. So if you don't, hit the share button tonight, send it out to some people, get some more people involved. And if you don't know where that is, oh, sorry about that. Someone in the background is having some excitement.
Someone's excited for Distill America.
Someone's excited about Distill America in the background. So if you haven't, this is exactly where to go. You get to the events page, it'll link you to where the tickets are. And there are still, like I said, some standard ones available. I know I'm always going to push people every year to get the ones ahead of it, just a tier above, because that extra hour is fantastic. And I know I'm shedding a little bit more on it, but I kind of feel like I should have gone to the super VIP level this year. What you guys have involved with that, I did feel, I was like, oh, I made a mistake, damn it. But it's your guys' 15th year, which is a hell of an accomplishment when you're talking about festivals and keeping them going over that time frame. I know there are some people that we've talked about in the past, but might be new for watching right now. Why did you guys want to create Distill America in the first place?
Adam, you want to take that one about our conversation on the park?
Distill America started, really the brainchild happened with this gentleman up there and my old boss, Jerry. I've worked at Star now since the year 2000, and we had always kind of done tastings here over those years. We used to get people that would come into town, and we would set up a tasting knowing they were coming at different places. Like we did a tequila tasting with and mezcal tasting with Ron Cooper from Del Maguey one year at a nice little Mexican restaurant here in town. We did one with Steve McCarthy from Clear Creek at the Madison Club here in Madison. And of course, Fred and I and some of my fellow employees here at Star would go down to Whiskey Fest every year. And we would get the VIP tickets there. I think at the time they were like $75 or something like that. And you could get in an hour early. I don't know if that's where we got the idea. We would go, and it was a wonderful experience because it wasn't overloaded with people. If you got the VIP, you were kind of among the serious, not industry people necessarily, but the people who cared. And you could get up to tables and really talk to the people and try stuff. And over the years, that became harder and harder and harder to do as it became more of just a status symbol for people to be at the event. And they were just going to try the 27-year-old scotches, which I was doing too. But, we had the opportunity to taste a lot of things. And it was really valuable to somebody that worked in a store like Star, where at the time we were probably selling 100 different single malts, and bourbon was just barely becoming a thing back then. And I was at the Great Taste of the Midwest Beer Festival, August of 2008, I believe it would have been. And it was 95 degrees out that year. It was really hot. And I had found I couldn't have one more double chocolate bourbon barrel peanut butter stout. I just wanted like a Liney's original or something like that, really cold. And I found something light, and I found some shade under a tree. And as soon as I sat down to relax, Fred came walking up to me, and he said, "What do you think about an event like this for spirits instead of beer?" And I said, "Well, it's funny you say that, because my boss, Jerry, had been talking about it for about 2 years at that point. We had done a bourbon and scotch together at Life's Corner Bistro, it was called, in a big convention room. Not big, it was big enough. I think we had maybe 15 tables in there, just jammed in. And it was the first time we had ever done a tasting that was sort of in the like the trade show format, where people walked around from table to table instead of doing a very specific sit down educational tasting with one specific distillery. And it worked out so well that Jerry had talked about doing it at a bigger venue. And when Fred said that to me at the beer festival, I said, well, let's put you two in the same room. So I think it was about 2 weeks later on a Sunday, he came down here and the two of them went downstairs. Fred managed to endure probably about 2 hours of Winston cigarettes, because that's what Jerry smoked. And he smoked a lot of them. And they hammered it out. They figured out that it was not only a possible idea, but a really, really good idea. And we started getting together maybe a week later, and we sat for a whole year just sitting, trying to figure out how to put a show like this together. And essentially it was just trying to figure out what could possibly go wrong, before it did go wrong. And then in February of 2009, we had the inaugural event up at the Edgewater. I think it was 25 or 30 tables. It was not huge, but it was still a good representation. And it was at the very sort of genesis of craft distilling here in Wisconsin. We had, at the time, Great Lakes in Milwaukee, 45th Parallel up north, and Yahara Bay here in Madison. And then Death's Door as well was being made in Cedar Rapids. Is that right?
Cedar Rapids at that point, yep.
So making it in Iowa, but later to be up here, and of course later to be part of the Dancing Goat portfolio. So yeah, and then we had a really great representation and reaction from Kentucky when we reached out and said, who will come? They all know Fred, if you guys don't know that. Like, he had gone down to Bourbon Fest year after year after year, and he made a lot of friends. So and Star sold a lot of whiskey. So we had kind of the double whammy where we came at him from two directions, and they went, maybe we should go check this out. And I was looking at old pictures just the other night, and Eddie Russell, I think, was here year 2.
Eddie was here year 2. Jim Rutledge from Four Roses was here year 2. Then Al Young came. And some big heavy hitters.
Blown away by Madison as a community and how much more cosmopolitan it was than they thought. They thought they would come up here and everybody would be shoving cheese curds in their face and chugging down old styles, which we were, but we were also drinking really good whiskey and really good gin and all that stuff too.
So for me, it became, just to kind of, dovetail off what Adam said, for me, it became apparent that larger events like the aforementioned one that Adam talked about were pricing me out as a white middle-class guy, okay? And that never felt right. Having put on the Great Taste for many years, helping to put on the Great Taste for 15, 16, 18 years prior to starting to distill, we knew how to put on events, and we knew who needed to be in that room. And like I've said to you guys before, the only people that need to be in that room first and foremost are people that own bars, people that are bartenders, people that work liquor store shelves, the people that all of us need to push their products. So if it's just the 1%ers that are already drinking the stuff, don't have any plans. So the 1%ers were already in there, and we were already buying everything that was in the room. The other thing that was not represented was...
Hey, you Doc Brown?
The other thing that was not represented were smaller distillers, okay? Because they were going to get lost, and they were not going to be able to even come close to affording the thousands and thousands of dollars in table fees to give away tickets to still spend $250 on your hotel room. So nothing against, I'm not going to be the guy that bitches about capitalism while I reap the benefits of living in capitalism about somebody who puts on a very for-profit event. But at the same time, I've never put on for-profit events. And if I can help the industry within that by rethinking it and then giving the money back, in this case, for I think close to 10 years, we've been a funding arm, and the recipient of all the tickets that get sold is the Wisconsin Distillers Guild. So, and it goes to educational pursuits. So we're very happy with that. We're very happy with our place in the industry. We're very happy with giving people a place to showcase themselves. We've had people that only make vodka come. We've had Big Kentucky come. We encourage anybody that's even remotely interested, because it's not a whiskey event. It's not a whiskey fest. It is a spirits event where there's something there for everybody. We've got all the kids are in the pool. So... And as soon as my friend gets his Mung Rice whiskey going back in Door County, we'll have Poe back again as well. So
that would be exciting. But yeah, that's what I was explaining to one of my friends' girlfriends, that she was like, I'm not really sure. Is there something there I'd like? Because I don't like whiskey. I'm like, well, it's probably more vodka, gin, seltzers, canned drinks. There's all sorts of things for you to try besides just bourbon and whiskey. It's a plethora of opportunities. That's pretty much where you're going to find something.
Completely. And then we've also got some of Madison's best bartenders coming, and they routinely will make very small cocktails for folks and show you how to make and mix with certain things. So if you've never used Goodland cranberry liqueur from our friends at Great Lakes, you might just walk by at that point and they're making a cocktail with that cranberry liqueur. And then suddenly you're like, hold on, I need to jot some notes about this. And then I need to go to Star Liquor and buy that bottle. So that's kind of what we're trying to do, is we're trying to demystify it. We're putting on educational seminars during the event. We'll have 2 of those. We'll have the World Whiskey Seminar that is the hour before the regular VIP opening. So hopefully there's a lot of something for a lot of people, and you can find yourself in that room. It's also it's confusing to people until you go the first time. People think an all-you-can-drink spirits event, I'm just going to get wrecked. Remember, carry a water bottle. There's water jugs everywhere. We'll be able to, we'll be having plenty of NA things as well. We've got unlimited food for the first time this year, which is amazing. We also tell people to eat breakfast, eat lunch, and then eat lunch again before you come down. Talk a lot, sit down, ask questions, pump the brakes when you need to. And then got some subsidized cabs as well.
Yeah. Well,
it's attainable. Once you realize it's attainable.
Yeah. I always tell people the same thing, and it goes back to learning how to go to trade shows myself when I got into this industry. It's not hard to not be the drunkest person there. It's okay to be the second drunkest person. Don't be the drunkest person there. I tell you, there's been a lot of years where the drunkest person at the event was one of my coworkers here at Star Liquor. I won't mention any names because there's a chance some of them are watching, and I'd hate to embarrass Andrew. Luckily, the drunk person, they had a lot of fun. They didn't really. Nobody watch me do this while I'm knocking on wood. Even as drunk as people get, we've always been very blessed with a really well-behaved crowd. And I think it's because our crowd is interesting. Year 1 and year 2, when I would do media things in the city or around the state, I would have to explain to people over and over again that this isn't shots. We're not just running up and down the aisle, pouring as much Jaeger in ourselves as we possibly can. This is for serious people. And it's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. If you're a fun drinker too, you should come. But it's not Fireball, and Fireball might be there. Oh, sorry. I should stop mentioning brand names like right now.
I've gone down that path. So.
Yeah.
No, but one of the things that I really liked about the event when I got stepped into it and beforehand is that you guys, especially in its inception when it was at the Edgewater for over a decade, that the goal was to keep people safe, was to give people a place you can just walk upstairs to your hotel room, and wherever you're having it, there's several hotels within walking distance. If not, now Uber and everything is really prevalent, but you guys were always trying to keep it safe. So if you did have too much, it was not a big deal, and there was no reason to put yourself at risk. So
absolutely. It's also why
we set the tone like that. I think it kind of permeates afterwards.
Well, we try to set that tone. We try to send that message constantly. One of the things that Bree Stevens allows us to do this year is to have a hotel right across the street. I'll be very honest with who's ever listening. Adam and I and the organizers do not believe that Madison is completely ready to be 600 people in a ballroom, and may never be ready to have 600 people in a ballroom for the foreseeable future. So we have morphed into a outdoor event in the end of spring, early summer. So with that said, we're trying to meet people kind of where they're at. We're trying to not overextend ourselves and ask our vendors to do more than they would normally do if they were at a regular table. So, but at the same time, we're gonna have 2 big tents on the center of that gorgeous soccer field in a Depression area build that's historical and beautiful in downtown Madison. And then outside of that, in kind of rung in a raceway kind of a fashion, will be standalone folks who have branded tents, and there'll be everything from people playing bags to people playing to people doing putt-putt golf and just other things that distillers set up to keep you at their table, keep you in the conversation, and to stop and pump the brakes for a few minutes.
So, all right, I have to can't talk. Ask a question. has my own interest in this one. Have you guys gotten to the point where you can do on-premise purchasing of whiskey, or do you have to go outside for that?
We can't legally do that in Wisconsin.
Okay.
So I think right now there may be something afoot where we could have, I mean, you can in St. Louis, for example, Mike, you can do it at their Whiskey in the Winter event because they go through one trade liquor store. And you can either get it there or you can get it to pick up later in the weekend or later next week. I think they make accommodations for that. We don't have that quite yet in Madison, in Wisconsin, but I will tell you who I would go with if I
100%.
sign up a liquor store.
Let me give you my perspective on that. One of the reasons we don't do it, and one of the reasons I will fight against doing it for as long as I'm involved in this event, is because it would be Star Liquor, and we don't deserve all of it, because there are a lot of really great independent stores in this town that do a lot of work the same way we do. They focus on the good products. They focus on craft distilling. They're not the big corporate chains, and they all deserve some of the credit, you know. I'll even roll off the name, like Reeks and Steve's, Trixie's, Cork and Bottle. There's wine shops like Table Wine and Square Wine Company that have been great, and they're not chains. They're not I won't mention the chains. That would be a bad idea. But they work hard, and that's who we want to drive business to with an event like this. And these are people who care about the product that they sell. So every year, we have a lot of them at the event. They come and they use it as a learning experience, and it is a chance for them to try the things just like I do. And, you know, yes, I like to make sure that Star gets as much play as possible because I've been doing this for 20 years and I've put a lot of work into this event. And yeah, Jeff, I don't know what you're talking about, but you might be right. Yeah, so the idea is that liquor stores don't need tables at this event because they have brick and mortar where people can come and buy stuff. If the distillers have a favorite, they can send them there. There's very little sponsorship from the stores, except for maybe we don't even do a paper program anymore, so the ads aren't even an issue anymore. It was just a thing. So, in my opinion, we probably won't do sales out of the event just because it would be a little too focused on one place. And unless Madison only has one awesome liquor store. Well, it does only have one awesome liquor store, but the rest are kind of okay too. I don't think we'll see it.
Well, Mike, to answer your question another way is I am also very concerned with watching people walk out with bottles. That to me is a concern. What we are constantly harping on for our distillers is to either have something printed at your table that says where you can buy these things in this city for somebody who might be driving out tomorrow, or have things to hand out. So I know that'll be a dancing goat where we'll have things mentioned. These will be the places that we have single barrels, for example. These are the stores that carry our products. These are the stores that carry these specific products. That I think is a really good use of consumers' time, so they're not just chasing or making phone calls from their hotel, room on Sunday morning, but are going to specific stores saying, you know what, there's 6 things I want to buy before I leave, and they all seem to be at this one liquor store. I'm going there on my way out of town. So.
Well, and when you're on vacation, I always it's a little bit like, bottle hunting. All of a sudden stop at 2 or 3 stores. And whenever you're in a city, there's a variety of things. Like within 20 miles of here, there's probably 2 or 3 places, and each of them have a little different niche for what you're looking for. And it's like, well, if you really want that, you need to go here. Right. They have it. The other people have 2 bottles. These guys have 8, and the other 6 really make a difference.
True.
So, Mike, are you coming up this year?
I am. I will be there. Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. Well, I know it's been a couple of years since I've been able to come up. So yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it.
It's not February either. It's a much better time to come.
Yeah.
How about that hunky gentleman over your right shoulder? Is he going to be coming up with his distillery?
No.
No.
We'll quiz him about that. He's going to be on the show next week.
Yeah.
We'll be
Tony
back on.
still can get a plane ticket. Can
I will-
fly into Madison International.
Oh,
Home
We'll
of
get 'em
6
on.
very not busy gates.
Oh, we got a question for Fred.
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely. So we will have everything available from Dancing Goat that are new to the market. So we will definitely probably have one of the versions of Very Old Goat there. We will have the I Would Rye for You there. And we're also going to have the Quirky and Humble Blend there, along with our other flagships. We may or may not. Those will all be pulled out probably at VIP, and whatever's left will be carried through the rest of the show. We probably at VIP also will put out some samples of single barrels. We've got a really fun new single barrel that we're kind of talking through with Star Liquor right now. They're going to pick a barrel of wine from one of my favorite winemakers in Wisconsin, the American Wine Project. And then we're going to take that barrel, and then at Star Liquor's behest, we're going to put some, whatever they decide they would like, put in that barrel. So could be bourbon, could be rye, could be corn whiskey. It's up to them. So based upon what they pick, we got some cool new things coming down the pike as well for those guys. But for VIP folks, they should always know that there should and will be special bottles for those folks, and those don't always run out at the end of VIP. So even if you're getting in there at 2:00, you might find yourself in the middle of some largesse from folks that would like you to try more of their products.
The last time we picked a barrel at Dancing Goat, it very nearly devolved into a much bigger party than I've been to since I was a boat driver up in the Dells in the summer times. Thankfully, Fred actually was the voice of reason that kept us from devolving, because I had to drive and we all had to drive. So it was would have been a terrible, we all would have been sleeping out there on the distillery floor had he not been the voice of reason. Because Nick started bringing out, he said, "Oh, you got to try this." And then the next thing you know, it was, because we're very enthusiastic for things like that. We always have been. If you show up at our store with a product we like, we might just take the grill out in the backyard while you're here and be like, "Oh, let's go to the store for an hour. We'll go and we bring some rosés. Let's bring some rosé. That would be good." And then the next thing you know, the cops are coming by at midnight telling us we got to shut up because the neighbors are complaining. That's happened, but it's happened before.
Oh, it's happened before. No, we got into some dusty ceramics from the 70s, which were very, very good.
Those are exciting.
Decanters. So,
man, the difference of how things came out back then versus today is to be phenomenal.
Well, it's one of those things that we talk about it at the distillery, rather frequently. It's that notion of there was a period in time when we were cutting down old growth trees and making barrels out of old growth wood. That doesn't exist anymore. We're harvesting sustainable lumber now. Okay, so those trees are not getting that old. We may never replicate those old flavor profiles ever again because we're not going to see wood like that. So
yeah,
it's just that notion that if you're lucky and you are lucky to come upon one, or your grandparents have stashed some things away, it'll be fun to throw those out. Yeah. So we have our plans for Friday night with Adam. There we go. The back of the store with some rosé.
Echo, that's not
it's about 9:30 if that.
So how many different tables or distilleries are you guys going to be having at this year's event?
Say it again.
About 75, I think, is what we've come to it right now. It may grow over the next couple of weeks. It sometimes does grow by about 10 at the very last minute. So the event hasn't quite fully, completely, and utterly rebounded from the COVID break, but it has for the most part. I mean, the idea that I imagine some people are just still not traveling as much, Some people don't have the employees to do it yet, and the setups are different. But I feel like as far as the customer base, it has definitely rebounded. And I think most of the distilleries are still with us and doing their thing.
Well, I think
people have changed the way they do their sales in the last 5 years. So,
true.
Yeah, that, and like you said, getting getting employees up here, because there's a difference from, I don't want to say just brand, I don't want to say like a standard brand rep, but there's like an actual employee to the company that you can tell a difference for us versus someone that's hired for the weekend to be,
Sure.
the brand ambassador for the weekend. Not that there's anything wrong with those people, and I'm glad they're there, because then I get to taste some whiskey or whatever they have there. And I have found in those cases some things that were fantastic. But having the people that have the personal stake in it, you can tell that really makes a difference. And that's where you get kind of that, the heart and the feel of what's going on with what you're tasting. You'll see the passion come out in the explanation of what's going on. And then I think that matters. So.
And then suddenly you're talking to somebody about their cantaloupe cream liqueur, and your head is completely blown, because you're like, I didn't know what I was expecting, but I did not expect it was going to be that damn good.
Yeah.
I didn't expect you to tell everybody about it after I tried it. Like everybody, like, have you tried this? Have you tried a cantaloupe liqueur? Have you tried it? Honestly,
so you can attest to that. That's kind of the way I acted.
Yep.
That's one I'm definitely going to be buying. I just say that's what I'm definitely buying a few bottles to bring back.
Because
that is one of those things that is quintessential Wisconsin, because Mr. Schlapper's only got he's only got his tentacles in this state, so you got to travel to get it.
Yeah. And it's all natural, which is crazy.
I will say this: I think we're going to be the first distilling event that will have a poutine from an American distillery on the table. So,
who's that?
A Wilden. They're just a little east of Madison, in a little town called Sun Prairie. He is a brewer over at Carbon 4 who started a small distillery himself, but he's making some really wild, fun, clear cocktails. His spiced rum is really, really good. So it's just one of those really fun. He just put out a poutine. What if people don't know, it's an unaged Irish whiskey, kind of a white
do you
dog.
see my face? I'm not sure I knew what that was.
Yeah. So Poutin, poutine. Not to be confused with tahine, which is a Mexican spice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those crazy fun little things. And there's a lot of people like Dancing Goat, and we're not the only ones, that'll have R&D stuff as well, that are trying to get feedback on something, whether or not this is ready, not ready. What do you think? Tell us what you really think. At the same time, I will remind everybody listening, and I'll remind everybody as we go through, there's not one distillery, one brewery, one winery at a show like this that is going to be offended if you pour anything out right in front of them. None of us are going to be offended. So do not think that
just don't make eye contact when you do it, right?
Well, try not to pour it on the grass turf. Probably, because it's not really grass; it's artificial turf, and they have to play a professional soccer game there on Sunday. Some guy takes a slide and he comes up and he smells like whiskey. I'd rather that you use our dump buckets, but don't feel like you got to be Wisconsin nice, because
they have plenty of big food festivals there. We're not going to get to any of that field it doesn't see all the time.
No, I was gonna say that's always exciting. And you guys were saying there's gonna be, what I liked about it, was surprised the first time I went was by the amount of food you had at Distill America when it was at the Edgewater. Now you said what the hell are you doing now this year?
We're doing unlimited food just because there was a point in every one of the other 14 years. Well, maybe not so much last year.
Not last year, but there was a lot.
All the other 13, there was a lot of food last year. There's going to be unlimited food. They're not just going to put it out and then that's what lasts for the entire event, or put it out at 1 o'clock and put it out at 3 o'clock and see what runs out. They're going to be continually cooking and making food for us, and then supplying that food area throughout the entire show.
That also means that I'll be very easy to find this year, because I'll be standing by that food, helping myself.
You can find Adam right there.
Pretty much half the time, because I got to walk around and get a drink the other half. So,
and it was always, what I was also surprised by that was how much, and like the quality of food. Because sometimes you go to other places and it's like, yeah, we have food, and it's like pretzels and a few other things, and it was like sub sandwiches and chicken skewers and something else, and I was like, holy shit. And meatballs, I was like, okay, it's overwhelming. I'm going to need to sit down and eat something at some point.
Yeah.
But
that definitely a cue we took from Whiskey Fest. And the first couple of years we went, I remember walking and them having a slider bar, and I thought that was the greatest thing I had ever seen in my life. Like you could, walk away with a plate with like 6 sliders in it, and go, do you know how much whiskey I can drink if I get to eat like this while I'm at the event? It was true. You could walk away from the event and still go out and have a few drinks afterwards, which we did every single year at Whiskey Fest. I went to another event down in Chicago that will remain nameless, where there was no food, and somebody asked me to go up to Delilah's afterwards, and I'm like, I'm not sure I can get to the elevator to get to my room. So much to drink tonight. Well, I did make it to the elevator, in case you're worried. I did not end up sleeping in a hallway. I did get off at the wrong floor at first, but I figured it out less than 100 steps from the elevator.
That's awesome. And just so people know, as long as we're talking about exiting the event, across the street at Salvatore's, there will be an after party with Dancing Goat and Wallersheim Distillery. So feel free to stop over afterwards, catch some food as well, and then have because we'll all be over there from the distillery sharing experiences as well and answering other questions. And
at the risk of making a commercial for him, Stell's is my favorite pizza in Madison by a long shot these days.
Yeah.
So. No,
good guys.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. That's cool. I was gonna say there's another one over by where we're staying, so we might be having a whole bunch of sales at some point. No, that's awesome. Do you guys? And I know I'm at. Well, do you want to mention anything about what's in the very first session?
Oh, sure.
Or I don't know if that's like still top secret, but I just
no.
There was a bit of me that was like, damn, I made the wrong decision.
No, I think people have trusted us. People that have gone to that VIP Plus series have trusted that they know it's not about American whiskey for that one. It could be any given year, but it also has been things like tequila, Scotch. We've brought in national brand ambassadors from Diageo. We've done decomposition and building classes. We've done some blending seminar things. This year, we're having the Blade and Bow crew come in, and they are bringing stocks of Stitzel-Weller juice that is so valuable that we can't have it shipped up here. One of our organizers has to fly down and get the bottles and get them up here himself. So they won't trust those to go through the mail. So that old Stitzel-Weller juice, which is very much blended into the Blade and Bow portfolio, they're going to bring out special Stitzel-Weller stocks that those group of 50 people will be able to try. And maybe 51 if I can figure out where that room is. If somebody tells me where it is, I'll be standing in that as well.
Never see him after that.
So yeah, the whole day for us starts. The Wisconsin Distillers Guild has a meeting, their annual business meeting for about 2 hours, 10 o'clock. Then right away at noon, we go into that VIP Plus session. Both will be in the Forward Club, which is kind of an indoor, underneath the stands, retrofitted, gorgeous space with a full bar. And then 2 more seminars will be in that same space. So we'll have a seminar that'll be a gin seminar. The National Brand Ambassador for Aviation, along with a local gin maker, will be in one of the sessions. And then, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong.
National brand rep from Rabbit Hole Distillery.
Yep, Rabbit Hole is the other one. So there'll be an entire national brand rep with products from Rabbit Hole, which is, again, you get that person's time and talent for an hour. And you get samples that are not going to be on the floor. So I would encourage people to go in there. We went from 3 seminars during the regular session to 2, just because that third one seems to be a little catch as catch can. And people are a little worried at the end of the event that they don't want to be seated when they can be outside and they think they're missing something when they're actually not. So rather than have 15 people in that third session, I'd rather have 50 in session 1 and session 2.
Yeah.
Because it's worth it. You're sitting there, you're getting all that information, you're getting to try stuff that's not on the floor, and you're getting to ask questions, and you got undivided attention. So,
and
you're not sobering up, which is what I think scares a lot of people. They're going to sober up while they're sitting in there, and giving you things to taste in there too. And in fact, you're getting very interesting things that other people aren't going to get to try. So,
yeah. As I said, every time anyone's gone to any of the classes, they've always come out thinking that they made the right decision going to the class. They came out better. They came out smarter. They learned something more interesting. Like with Distill, I think it was last year.
Yep.
Unexpected, but getting that, I want to say, early onset talk to her as she was kind of starting off her goals was really cool. A lot of people enjoyed that. So
well, and she was about as honest as she could be with a bunch of whiskey nerds. And she diffused all of the arrows that she felt could be coming her way. And she's like, you're right. I'm not here to argue against the Flintstone vitamins story. Okay. It is a mineralic experience for some of our products. I'm telling you, I don't make those. Okay. Those are our standard core brands. I'm making other things. So let's try that, but let's try some of the new things we're doing too. So she diffused a lot of stuff and literally owned the story before people could start, slinging words at her. And I loved that about having Nicole in the room. And she talked about how she was worried that she had gone too far. And I'm like, no, you were open and honest and transparent. You owned your story. It was great.
Well, and that's what I found great about it. Like you came out head first and it just took, like you said, controlled the conversation about it and set the tone with it. Like, yeah, I had that.
Completely.
Here's what my goals are. You're always going to have that when you step into some place like, well, I would change this and this. So this is where I'm headed in the future, But no, that was fantastic. So,
and I think last year, I think the gal that came from Jefferson's was a little overwhelmed. I think that was her first time in front of a large group. And then, of course, the three folks from Wallersheim, Dancing Goat, and Jay Henry mixing cocktails. That was just a completely hilarious back and forth cocktail class. We're always trying to do something with one of the sessions being cocktails, just to demystify some of those things for consumers, to say, you know what, this is probably the best way to make our gin into a standard cocktail. These are the builds on it. These are the garnishes, and then do something totally different with somebody else's gin. So education, boom, boom, boom.
So, well, comparing the edge, well, I won't say names. Comparing the indoor venue to the outdoor venue, which do you like better, or would you want to do a combination of the two?
I'm going to answer that as a married man that would like to stay married, okay, who rather enjoys his lovely wife, and would not like her to be my first wife. So what I want to do is I don't want to do a second one. I think irreverently you're going to see way less sport coats on Saturday outside of Bree Stevens. I think you might see more kilts, oddly enough. If the weather is right, it's always a risk with weather. Obviously, it could rain. People always ask that question, what are you going to do if it rains? And the answer is people are going to get wet. That's the answer to that. There will be places to stand underneath tents. There is places to stand underneath the stands where you will not get wet. But if it is a deluge, then plan for that. Okay. Hopefully it will not be. Last year we had a great day. Okay.
And this is Wisconsin. If you can't handle the weather, San Diego is out on the West Coast, and it's 78 and sunny every single day.
Right.
You have a coat. You have boots. We'll do our best to make sure it's sunny. I've got some crystals that hang out. We got dances. And we'll roll dice or knock on wood, whatever we have to do. But we'll all survive.
We will.
I have been to the Great Taste when it's boiling hot in August. I've been to the Great Taste when you watched a storm roll across the lake and everybody paused for about 30 seconds and then went right back to what they were doing. I always tell people, that I grew up in Wisconsin Dells, and nothing up there closes for any reason. And I would take boat tours or work. One summer I worked at Noah's Ark, and I remember working at Noah's Ark when a tornado warning went off, and all they did was move everybody into the gift shops for about 15 minutes. And they made me stand by one of the doors, and they said, "Don't let people go outside."
I can do that.
We're gonna get to our car. No, you're not. Yeah, we are. Okay, good luck. But
well, we're lucky in the fact that what I like about this venue is that it gets us back downtown. So that's one answer, Mike. It gets us back next to a hotel. Just to be completely transparent with anybody that is listening to or watching this, The East Side Club, where we were last year, is actively for sale. So our ability to be there long term is this could have been our last year there anyways, and we would have had to move. Our event does not have another scalable indoor room that can keep us at a $70 general admission ticket price. There's just not one there. The next jump would easily take this ticket over $100, and we'd be able to give away less money. That is not our goal, because we don't have one of those gap rooms to be able to put this on. And with all the vendors there and everybody, ticketed people, we're looking at 1,000 people inside those gates, and we're a flagship event for everybody. And I want to put it on with our best foot forward. So with that said, and being able to partner with somebody that'll meet us halfway with infrastructure and food and all the things that really matter to people, we're going to have indoor bathrooms. Okay. When most outdoor events would be porta potties. So we're lucky in a lot of ways, and there is cover and there will be room to go inside to a point if it were to get hyper nasty, really bad weather, but cross fingers.
That's when you just start helping the people take bottles off the table.
Don't do that.
I'm going to carry them inside.
We'll be inside. Come with us.
And I will tell you that
it's once you've gone outside once, there is again a lot of people, not a lot. We heard a couple criticisms, all valid, last year. And, again, it's, if you're not on the other side of the table, recognizing that bottle has been in the sun for 30 minutes even, then you need to redo your table such that those are not issues for consumers, that bottle is sitting out getting hyper warm. So we're trying to get everybody underneath as much of the tent as possible, put it so that there's enough room to stand underneath a tent and still get to those people that are underneath and still be under some cover. But there will be rigs that'll be out in the sun. I think a lot of people saw Bullet's Teardrop Camper last year. They still had a 10 by 10 tent that you could stand there with. We've got 4 or 5 of those people. That level of Kentucky, Tennessee distilleries building entire installations specifically for Distill America, and not just, they're shipping them in crates and containers. So there's people taking this very seriously. This is not only the second oldest American whiskey event after the ADI's, American Distillers Institute event, it's one that's catching national attention for a lot of people. So not just sending distillers, but national brand reps and people from the distillery. There will be the occasional person that is not from said place, but that will in no way, shape, or form be the majority of those tables.
That's the rule. And I'll tell you this, to go back to whether I like inside or outside better, it could be 105 degrees outside, and I still won't sweat as much as I did in that room at the Edgewater by the end of the night with 600 people in there wearing sweaters, drinking whiskey. They could never quite figure out how much heat people were going to put off after having all that hard liquor. And we would have them turn off the air conditioning the day before. It could be 3 degrees outside because it was February. I'd be like, no, seriously, open the doors. Open the door. It's going to be 105 in here and humid, and nobody's ready for that in February. In the summer, at least we can wear shorts, and I remember to put on a hat every year for my own safety, and it's all good.
I remember doing that at one of the first ones at the Edgewater when I was there. All of a sudden, like an hour into it, because I got there an hour early and stuff. All of a sudden, I'm like, nope, this is coming off. I'm going to change. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, this is coming off, and I'm going T-shirt when I come back down, maybe shorts somewhere.
I think the greatest potential for problems that we had every year or two is taken away by our new venues and timing, because we don't have that coat check line full of really drunk people after the event yelling so loudly that you could hear them probably from the top floor of the hotel, I'm going to guess.
So I guess Mike, to answer your question, I like us being outside. I like the fact that we're atypical. I like the fact that we've leaned in hard on how to stay relevant, and kind of we're kind of moving pretty nimbly with this, and I think we're not necessarily married to it going forward. I think we all want it to work. But I don't think any of us foresee it moving out of this month of May. Last year was not optimal because I think we were on UW graduation weekend.
We got smarter this year.
Where graduation weekend is not a conflict this year. Mother's Day is not going to be a conflict. We're in the weekend between. So,
well, and the funny part was with graduation, it really wasn't a conflict with anybody being too busy. It was that the hotels were all full.
Hotels were gone.
Yeah.
Everybody was coming for graduation.
Right.
And it's kind of a big school. So parents coming from all over the world took up a lot of hotel rooms in town. And people found themselves staying 25, 30 minutes away. And this year, hopefully, that's not such an issue. I shouldn't be.
Not as much. Other
than the natural popularity of Madison, because people still come from all over the world to visit Star Liquor on any given weekend, just in case you were wondering.
I love the fact that Jeff Schwartz says that we're the most important whiskey event for him every year. Which
that's what I was going to put up.
Happy.
I'm like, I was talking to friends, and I'm like, for me, when it was in February, that was one of the things that you always have to have something in the doldrums of winter that gets you excited. You almost see in the past how they laid out festivals or events like, okay, there's one a month that's supposed to be like, okay, get you feeling excited, get you feeling good again. That was part of it in winter for me, but this is like the kickoff to summer for me. Like I already like as soon as it started getting sunny like last week and this week going forward, I kind of felt my mood change. I'm like, oh, it's road trip, got exciting stuff to do, can't wait. Woo! I'm kind of wound up already.
If you guys ever want to do an episode about the last hour of working at a liquor store some night, I'd be more than happy to provide the comedy.
We can do that.
Tell us the last.
I feel like I've been rolling my eyes a lot.
Tell us the last 6 things you've sold.
The last, let's see, simple syrup. I did sell one of these, oddly enough, sitting here. That guy bought some Jim Beam. Nothing really funny or disgusting, just weird questions.
Simple syrup is funny because it's the easiest thing to make at home.
You know what's funny about that is the argument I had with my bosses to order it for about 6 months. I said, please, just order some simple syrup. And they go, they're all bartenders. So they go, no, we're not ordering that. That's stupid. It's too easy to make. I go, listen, I told 9 people today that we don't have simple syrup. So let's order it and charge $7 a bottle for it. Problem solved.
Right.
It happens. I wouldn't make it if I didn't have to, probably either. So.
Cracks me up.
It's just one of those people that walk in and
It's
grab it.
simple syrup for a reason, though.
Well, no one thinks that though, but you're like, really, it's just sugar and water and you hang out. Have you made macaroni and cheese? You're going to be whiz bang at this.
I guess the other thing about this event is that we are not the arbiter of what we think in that room is the best. Okay, the consumers are. So if you have the energy and the desire from a distiller's perspective to come and see us, then we want you there. Okay, people will absolutely be able to vote with their palates. Okay, Great Taste is the same way. This is not a juried show, is what I'm trying to simply say. So it's just that notion of everybody will find something. We all know that if you put on
myself are the coolest guys in the room. No, I mean, thank you, but no, we're not making the decisions. We get as excited about what we're told people are excited about as anybody in the
room. Well, and that's what I find the neat, like with just what you're saying. It's not a rigged show of any sort. As I see you guys getting excited about finding whatever the thing of the year is. And it sounds goofy, but you'll see it. Like there'll be like 2 or 3 things, and all will be something that wins, like Wollersheim's canned old fashioned last year.
Yeah.
That thing was an absolute home run. And I told Julie, Philippe, and Tom, I said, that is amazing. Kudos to you guys. That was a great launch for them. And I hope it spikes some sales for them as well, because it's a really good product.
Yeah, but just not the one I had expected out of everything there to be like, that's it. Cantaloupe cream liqueur was another one.
I can almost run down a list for you from year to year. I think some years we know, like I think we knew the year that your low was there, that the Hmong rice with liquor, that would probably catch people's imagination. And then when you tasted it, you went, oh my God, people are going to love this. Because it was this wonderful combination between like rice pudding and fire, because it was so high proof. And then one year it was the horseradish liqueur from up at Rupert. 1 year it was, one year Liz Henry absolutely stole the show, but that had as much to do with, it was, I think, just a kickoff year, honestly. I think 1 year everybody went crazy for dill akavit from
45th.
Yeah, but it wasn't 45th. They had it was a separate company, but they made it at 45th.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah,
well, they're not there anymore. So Gable?
Isn't it Gamelode?
Yeah, there you go. Gamelode. There you go. And Vikra 1 year couldn't get enough people away from their table because they were giving away so much product. St. George has very regularly had a thing that makes people go, holy shit, and those kind of things happen.
2 years ago when we came back online, it was pre-pandemic maybe even, and St. George brought that baller whiskey.
Oh, that's right.
Oh my
We've
God!
been trying to get that ever since too.
Yes.
We've never been able to get a bottle of it.
Oh my God! I think it went on. It ended up on allocation because of our event. Okay, people just went out and blew through it. So, 1 year at the very beginning, it was the year Bullet Rye came out, and people were blown away at the Edgewater. Bullet Rye was a big thing. Four Roses moved their entire business model up. Wisconsin was like tier 3 in their business model from when they're going to start to roll back into the States. No, we were tier 4 and we moved up to tier 2, which bumped us 2 years ahead of the game, solely based on what Jim saw when he and Al came to Distill. So we'll take a little credit for getting Four Roses into Wisconsin markets sooner, based upon what they told us after they saw it. So, there's some really fun things that I think, but the main thing is to, as organizers, kind of get out of the way and let people make their own decisions about what they like. Because you're going to find something from some tiny little guy, and you're going to find something from some very large distillers, and you're going to like them equally.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. There's an agreement about that.
The Baller was awesome. If I was going to change anybody's nickname to The Baller, I might change Whiskey Fellow to The Baller. All capital letters.
Excuse me, sorry about that, but yeah, getting bumped up on the Four Roses list is cool as well too. Because for me to be honest, their single barrel was the one that kind of changed the whole thing. Because before that, it was. To be honest, I don't want to say I didn't care as much, but it was Jack Daniels. I was younger. There were a slew of things that I found questionable, like the original Jameson, which I still do, but at least they make things that are better. But yeah, I was sorry that I can't believe they haven't taken that off the market. Once you taste their better, their upper brands, I'm like, oh my God, why? Fine, people drink. I don't know. Sorry, it tastes like aluminum to me. I can't.
I just locked the door, by the way, so let's start over and do it again. Ready? Take 2.
All right, hold on. Then I got a pour drink.
I don't think you guys told us what was in your glass.
I did 2 things so far. I've had I had 3. I had a little Death Doors gin because we were talking about the gin class. I was going to get back to that because you were the one that turns our heads on gin in general. So I'm wondering who else is in that class because before
right now we had a scheduling snafu, and we are searching out a local distiller owner to fill in for the people that had to scratch. And we're not able to because I don't know that it got decided today. Hopefully it's decided by tomorrow, but I can tell you unequivocally, if it is who we're asking, it will be an awesome session.
It'll be an awesome session.
Coming out of this other local distillery is rock solid. It will be aviation. I don't know. I cannot confirm nor deny Ryan Reynolds' attendance for said session, but it's very unlikely that he will be there.
He decided not to come because he was afraid I would introduce myself to his wife, and then there'd be all this thing.
Everything's over from then on.
Funny, but
Hey. Ooh.
So that gin will be
I'm just getting my
that gin session will be an eye opener, very much so.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. So I'm excited about that too.
Good.
But the other thing I was having was an Iron Root Republic Harbinger. That's 62% alcohol.
Okay.
And then I was sipping on, and I don't know if you guys have ever had this, some brandy from Edelbrand.
Out of where?
Out of Missouri near St. Louis.
Really?
They were on the show a couple of weeks ago. There, he is Swiss, and he does everything in the Swiss style. So they do all by hand mashing of all the fruits and everything else. But then the other one that they do is there's a local brewery that they get the beer mashes from them, and they've redistilled a wit, Russian Imperial Stout, and an IPA. And they're very fun.
I will bring some.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because it was one that I was surprised, and when they're distilling it over time, what was it like 10 hours or something? Like it was an hour a gallon.
Slow.
It was slow.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like a gallon an hour.
Mitch was vaguely offended. Like, how do you even do that?
And go drink that at the Garnerstube out in New Glarus and celebrate Switzerland at its finest.
There you go.
Little
Some
Switzerland.
Blondjagers, have some cheese.
I like that.
I like it.
That sounds like a blast.
So are they, Mike, are they on Highway 70 anywhere? Or are they like on Colorado?
They're off of 70 there because they're out there 40 minutes or so outside of St. Louis.
Okay.
So they're but no, they're worth looking up. Yeah, Emily put the link of them for Edelbrand Pure Distilling. They're
Perfect.
definitely look them up. But yeah, we'll bring some of their stuff up with us, and hopefully we'll catch you.
We can catch people. We're gonna bring some other stuff up there. We're gonna bring some sample sets of some corn whiskey tasting we're gonna do on a Memorial Day. So if you see us out and about, there's a chance that you could acquire them over Distill America weekend.
Nice.
Set of 5.
Awesome.
So
I want to know why they're not coming to Distill America with a table. I mean, they don't have to be selling in Wisconsin. That's one of the great things about this event.
Well, right now they're in Italy.
With us that we will help. Huh?
They're in Italy right now. Otherwise, I think you might have. They probably would have came if I had said something.
Madison, come on. I go to Italy.
That was going to be one of my questions, because you in the past you had I mean, more or less a limit on the number of tables that you could have with the vendors.
Sure.
Do you still have that capacity or that limit with the outdoors, or and I guess what changes have you seen over the last 2 years with the number of vendors?
So 2 things. I think there's 2 really quick things that come to mind. First and foremost, we have less of a limit on space. This is a professional size soccer field that we can be on.
Yeah.
Give you an idea of what we can put in there. We will probably have probably 15 to 20 on the very edge of the soccer field, ringing it, standalone rigs and or branded tents.
Mm-hmm.
We'll also have a 20 by 100 tent, and we'll have a 20 by 60 tent. Everybody else will be under there, to include some trade industry folks like Sketchwork Architecture here in town has built a lot of breweries and distilleries. For anybody that's thinking about doing a refresh or a build or a new building, et cetera, they'll be there. We'll have bitters people there. We'll have other ancillary folks under there. The cocktail people will be under there. So all of that still gives us a lot of room, because the food area is going to be on the downtown side of the field, but actually off the field.
West side, yeah.
This building, this space can hold concerts of 5,000 and 6,000 people on the field itself, kind of in a standing fashion. And one of the things that we're able to do with our tent guys is to really have the right machinery to put those tents up, and not have to worry about staking them, not have to worry about putting big water, 50-gallon water drums this year in there. We're just using that. If you've seen those concrete barriers, like in construction sites, we've got a lift that works on this ground, works on their turf, that can lift all those things one at a time and just drop them on the edges. So it'll be more imposing, but easier seen. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I was always worried about people kind of biffing into those water barrels last year. But the other thing that we noticed this year, and that's not to say and rule it out, we noticed that the people that didn't have traction in Wisconsin after the pandemic had not rebounded enough to come back. Okay, and we're not, Adam and Fred and Adam and Kevin and Scott are not in the business of putting people out there who are not legal to be there. So our goal is to see if we can grow that back after the pandemic starts to settle things down a little bit. I think next year might be that time where we start to get more and more people, because I'd really like to have 4 to 6 people that we permit to be there that meet us halfway on the permit the permit fee, because it's $500 and that's not a small chunk of change.
And I'll tell you guys that of all the things we've done over the years, the biggest challenge consistently has been when we've had to shift venues, because it is very much like going back to that very first year where you're like, okay, what are the problems going to be here? Well, we don't know because we're not there. When we shifted originally from the old Edgewater to the end of the park, there was a whole new list of challenges. When we shifted back to the Edgewater, there was a whole new list of challenges. When we didn't think we could put 600 people indoors and actually get them, doing it online, there was a whole new list of challenges. And then taking it to the East Side Club, while wonderful, was we absolutely had to shrink the event based on the space that we had available to us. So now we're back in a spot where space will probably become less of an issue, but we can't make that year one. That can't be the decision year one. We have to go in there, we have to feel it out, we have to figure out what works, what doesn't, and then year two in a venue, you know what's coming. Your feet are established. You know where the bathrooms are. You know where the water is. You know where the power outlets are. You know who to call if something goes wrong. You know all of this stuff. And then you go, okay, my time can be better spent recruiting people. And like Fred said, there is still that within the industry. There's a slowing down. We even see it here with the amount of sales reps that we see bringing product around on any given day or week. It's a changed world from what it was 3 years ago in the liquor industry. It's rebounding. It's certainly going back. It probably will never be exactly the same as it was, but that's okay because we'll adjust. And that, like Fred said, also is one of our biggest strengths is that we can tuck and roll when we fall. You can pick yourself up and move on and create something newer and better and more fun and more exciting. And hell, we've made it 15 years. I don't see why we're not going to make it another 15. By then, though, Fred and I will be sitting on the sidelines with people bringing us drinks while everybody else is doing the work.
I almost want to see that. I mean, if you guys find a permanent venue, I think there should be like a Bob Euchre seat for you guys.
That's awesome.
Sit with Adam and Fred.
Myself too. I think I can do this very well. Actually, the picture you guys have of us that you use for this event, for this interview every year, that would make an excellent statue. That's all I'm saying. It would be great.
So I want to get one more thing in there. We've worked it out. There are 2 massive apartment buildings that are 10 plus stories that bookend this venue.
Yeah.
We've got the ability to get up on the rooftop of one of them during the event. We're going to announce it, and we're going to ask everybody at a certain time to turn towards that building and either hold up a glass as a toast or wave, because we're going to take a picture from up there of the entire venue. And then that'll be one of the things that we wave going forward for next year.
Just so you know.
So I'm super excited about kind of the weird, odd things that we're able to pull off at this one. So
the listing of Distilleries Bourbon Turntable will be on our app. I'm not sure, 100% sure when we'll release it, but it will be before the event. I can promise you that. I know every year they do the Great Taste release like the Wednesday before or something like that.
We're going to try to get that list of distillers.
We don't want to get anybody's hopes up and then have a last minute change. And then we want to make sure everything is nailed down before we tell you anything. So
our big thing is that we want to probably shoot for that Wednesday it's a Fest Buddy app. You would have
Distill
loaded it
America.
last year if you were at the East Side Club. It's the same group, but that is contingent upon distillers putting their information in. And these are
Yeah.
people that make alcohol for a living and don't necessarily sit at their computers to fill out things like Fest Buddy forms with what they're bringing in, little blurbs about their distillery. So, and not everybody has a marketing team. Sometimes it's a one-man gang, or it's this person and that person. So we do the best we can. If it's Thursday, don't shoot us. But the bottom line is there will be something out with a list of distillers very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The best place to find out which distillers are going to be there is at Distill America. Tickets are on sale now at distillamerica.com. General admission tickets are left. It's a wonderful investment in your future. It's a lot of fun. There's no reason to miss it. I promise you that at least one of the distilleries will have something you like when you come to the event.
Oh, jeez. But
So
you got to be willing to try
just to give you
stuff.
some round numbers, if you're looking at roughly 80 distilleries, we're going to be looking at close to probably 300 plus products to try. And it could be more. I mean, some distilleries.
There's no prize for trying them
10 or
all, by the
12.
way.
Some will bring 2. So.
Well, and you get sometimes some really weird things you wouldn't expect. Like I think it was Great Northern a few years ago had their ginseng whiskey that they don't sell in the U.S., but they sell overseas. And I was like, it wasn't for me, but I was like, I am intrigued with what is this about?
I don't want it, but I get it.
Absolutely.
I think there's always a lot of fun things like that too. I think the ability to experience the passion that distillers have. I mean, I can never say enough how lucky we were with the timing of us starting this, with the growth of craft distilling right alongside of the growth of Distill America. And, you know, you sit there and you talk to a guy like Brian from Great Northern or Nick or any of these guys, and it just takes, if it doesn't get you excited, then I'm not sure why you're there. I'm not sure why you're drinking, quite honestly. That's what Old Thompson is for. The excitement of the producers when they're showing you something that they have put their hearts and souls and lives into, and they're going to give you a glass of it to try right in front of them for, well, not free. I guess you got to pay to get in. But if you thought about the amount of things that you can taste in a day, the dollar per ounce experience is incomparable at any event. You certainly can't do it in a bar. I promise you that. Although I guess you go down to the malt house and ask, can I just get a taste of that? See how many of those you get before they tell you to go home. You know, see how long that lasts. You know, we're giving you that experience all in one place with unlimited food.
Totally.
But don't drive.
One of the things that I think makes us
take a cab, ride the bus, walk. I'm not even sure riding a bike is a good idea, quite honestly.
Nope,
Let somebody else make you move. We have just designated driver tickets, I'm assuming, still available on the site. We never put a limit on those. Just designated drivers obviously can't have any of the alcohol, but they're welcome to all the food they can eat. Any of the non-alcoholic products are certainly available to them. For God's sake, don't drive and don't try and park, because it's going to be a pain. There's not a lot of parking at Breeze Stevens Field, and a lot of events would see that as a problem. We see that as a blessing, quite honestly. We'll give our vendors a place to park. Customers should not bring cars if they can help it. Yeah. Leave your car at the hotel. Take a bus, take a cab, whatever you have to do.
The big thing for me, the thing that I think we really are hopeful that people understand, is that this is one of the few times in spirits events where American distillers don't have to compete with Scotland and Ireland and, you know, Japan and India. This is all us. Okay. Mexico. This is us throwing in with each other, and we're only better if we're all better. We're not better as an industry if Kentucky and Tennessee are the only people that are better. We're better when Kentucky and Tennessee are better, and when all the craft and mid-cap people rise up and are better as well. So it's that rising tide mentality, and it's easier, I think, for consumers and less cognitive dissonance in the room when you don't have to compete with other people. You know, so just that whole notion is really super fun to be able to explore consumers.
I was just saying the competition alone being that those people didn't have to put up with a decade of prohibition, 80 years ago, and how many years of not being able to do craft distilling because it was impossible legally to do it. So
Completely.
it's one great choice of doing this.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we love it for the show, and I've always loved it, is that it is focused on American products. I was going to say it does push that edge, and a lot of times, like you said, it's finding the unique stuff that people are making in America, not kind of the standard. It's what we look into. It's the story. It's the extra. What extra grain did you do? Did you do a different process? Did you do something different? And these people are all willing to tell you about it as it goes. But as a fan of shows and whiskey things, do not be the dick that just stands there and talks to the guy forever. You have a question, you get an answer, talk to him, and then move on to the next one. And if the table looks slow later, then come back and say hi. But don't be that guy. Sorry, just as everyone in the room, just a thing. Sorry.
There's a little bit of that, sure.
By the way, that's usually me, by the
way. It's okay to bogart someone for a bit, but I've seen it once or twice where I was like, just want to take him by the belt a little bit and swirl him around. And like, okay.
Time to go.
Come on back. If you come back in an hour, you'll have the same thing and no one will be here. Like it shifts between tables and stuff throughout time. If you wait, like, oh, the crowd's here now. The crowd's over there. Like it moves. The word of mouth of what's going on shifts. So.
Well, it's interesting because we've got a number of podcasters that are going to be reporting live from the event, and you'll see people listening on their headsets while they're at the event, and they're following a lot of times what some of those guys had in their glasses that they're talking about, or they'll go over and sit and listen to this podcast because they brought, Nick Moss from Dancing Goat there. They brought John from State Line there. They brought the national brand rep from Aviation, and they're interviewing them right there. So it's just, there's enough other things to do where you can still have both hands full of water and a beverage to be able to listen and slow down a little bit and to learn even more when people are actually being interviewed by somebody else. That is, we'll do as much as we can to help the industry and all the podcasters such as yourself and people that are running shows be able to have some time and talent in the room as well.
Well, we've always appreciated you extending your time, because not only on the day this is sucking up more of your time and you're off and you're done with work.
The door is locked over there and the lights are off outside. So, but you know what? We do this as much as a passion and a love as nerds. I mean, you heard the story of how this started. This wasn't a two guys in ties sitting in a room trying to figure out how to make a bunch of money from putting on an event. This was two guys that genuinely wanted to have this event so we could go to it, and maybe get in the room a little earlier than everybody else, and shake a few hands and make some new friends. And honestly, if it hadn't stayed that way, I don't think it would have lasted 15 years. I think the people involved in it are, okay, there's industry in it, that there's some self-interest, obviously. I'm there talking on behalf of Star Liquor to some degree. Fred's there discussing this Dancing Goat to some degree. But you know what? Even if we weren't, we would still put on an event like this because we want to try all of this stuff too. And honestly, being an organizer is, I've discovered, the best way not to have to pay for a ticket for an event like this. You just got to work at it for 6 months out of the year, and they'll let you in for free.
Can I point everybody to the bottom of the comment section? Dave's most recent comment.
Yeah, I remember that last year. I remember that.
People helping people, man. People helping people.
That's great. It's Liz's birthday.
Right now, that woman is everybody's favorite mom. She is. When she's in that room, there is a reason that there are people at that table, because she's a classic example of people that are passionate who can connect with consumers. And that doesn't come easily for a lot of people.
Joe, as I do from her every year too. It's a blast. I've never seen more happy to see us. It's so great.
But yeah,
it's Liz's birthday today too. Did I see that on Facebook? Did you see that?
His birthday's today. Yeah, it's his birthday.
You're out there watching.
But well, like you said, the keeping the cost where it is overall for everything, what I loved is that you guys, I don't want to say market to a different group of people, but your focus group is different. Your focus, I want to feel on the average person who wants to find out about stuff and be intrigued about it and go deeper, rather than it just slipping past as just people looking for higher end stuff, which you do have at whiskey festivals throughout the country. But when you go to them, you're, like you said, you're getting priced out of it when you're paying $300 to get in, and then it's $1,000 just to go, and it takes a chunk out of what you're doing. And I know what I loved about this, and there's one or two other ones like Bourbon on the Banks where they are respectably priced for what you're getting. Actually, I think it's probably a steal for what you're getting comparatively. But you're doing it for the right reasons, and you're giving everything to the Distillers Guild. It's just rare that you find something this big that's been around this long that has dedicated itself to putting everything back into the community. So I thank you for that, because I'm from Wisconsin.
Thank you. No, Distill America is actually member number 1 of the Wisconsin Distillers Guild. We're the first one that, because they took our money before they organized. So it was awesome. We became number 1. So, but no, that's very, very nice that you say, very complimentary. It's just, again, it's people that had the ability to do it, stepping up to the plate to do it, with like mindsets and skill sets that complemented each other. We've had a number of organizers that have come and gone over the years for a variety of reasons, but the 4 core of us that put it on have done pretty much, I think the 4 of us, Adam, for the last 5 or 6 years, maybe 7. Yeah. So, and everybody's got their place and their time and their talent. So
I feel like we have to give the special note to Scott Maurer, though, because Scott doesn't do any of these publicity things. His face doesn't get on a lot of things. Scott does more work, I think, than any. Kevin does too. I'm not going to give any of us short shrift, but Scott does all the media stuff for us. He had done he did the posters, and he had done the program for us all those years. We did a paper program, and just the idea of having to put that together makes me want to cut my own wrists. So I give Scott all the credit in the world. He took a relatively thankless part of the job and really made it shine, quite honestly. I think the posters that we put out every year are frame worthy, and it's all him. And honestly, I don't think I'm not even sure we give him enough credit for what he does, but he does a great job, and he does it because he loves what he's doing, and he does it because he loves the event, and he does it because he loves the same reasons we do it, essentially. So
almost seems like an autographed poster.
That's why they always get us in the talking thing.
His ability to design, I think some of our coolest posters have been some of the ones that he's done with Glencairn riffs, some of the ones where he's done that shot from a drone above Bree Stevens that's out there this year. He did Lady Liberty in the frozen Lake Mendota, which was awesome, with a Glencairn in her hand. Just really fun, irreverent things that visually attract people to your event and might grab people in for a different reason initially, and then they do a deeper dive and like, I should go to that. Yeah. It's more than just a poster.
And he's fun when I've met him at one or two of the events for a little bit. He's a fun guy. So.
He is.
All right. Well, we've had you guys on here for about an hour and a half, and I know you guys have stuff that you have real lives. We want to get you back to. Right? We want you to get rested for the next. I'm just saying, like, we don't want to pull you way too far in an evening, because we're gonna have a good time in a couple weeks, anyways. But I want to thank you guys for what you're doing. I'll probably pay attention for everyone watching who's to our Facebook and Instagram page. When we're down, we'll be posting what we're doing and some other things coming up that's going on. So I was going to say, we'll be some events or some other things going on. I love the one that you have. Okay, now I know what we're doing afterwards. So, you're going over for pizza when you're done.
Yep.
And they have it. Yeah, we'll go over that. There's going to be another mini sideshow of extra things you could do when you're in Madison over the weekend.
And we'll highlight those on our social media channels as well as we hear about things.
So, but that is awesome. Thank you guys both for coming. Wait, sorry, Mike. Do you have any other questions? I shouldn't just cut.
I didn't. No, they've answered all my questions. I'm just really, really looking forward to getting up there. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a blast.
Wait, oh, what time? I know there's lots of liquor stores, really great liquor stores in the area. What time does Star Liquors open on Sunday morning?
Star Liquor is open 10 to 9 every day. The sign on our door actually says 10 to 9, 8 days a week. And one of the most entertaining things that I find here is when people notice that it says that, and then they come in and go, "What does that mean?"
Means we wanted you to look.
The fabric of space and time, and it allows us to stay open an extra day every week. No, it's just a joke, man. But and I don't know if you know this or not, but there's going to be a guy that you know opening the store at 10 a.m. on Sunday.
To get that shopping.
I'm a dedicated soldier, let me tell you. It also keeps me good. It gets me to bed early on Saturday night. So
Perfect.
Then I can believe that. So, thank you guys both for coming on. If you haven't already, make sure you get out, check out distillamerica.com. There you can get still some tickets for that. Next week, we are having Ben, our former co-host. He's coming back on. Josh Galladay from Iron Root is coming on. And Ed O'Meara, who is formerly Dog and Shrub. They got bought out. I don't know what the new name is, so I'm not getting in trouble by not saying a name I don't know.
I think it's Salty Dog.
Salty Dog? No, it's not. Here it is. I don't think so.
Okay.
But they'll be on because we're having people on who started out as whiskey fans and ended up working in the industry.
Nice.
So we'll be talking to them next week. And then, the last one was more exciting. You're trying to make me snort stuff again there. Yeah, you got me for a second. And then out in, like I said, Memorial Day weekend, we will be doing our tasting of the five corn whiskeys that are all blind. We'll give our opinions. Now that we did get ourselves into trouble last time we did a blind, but we were hoping to not do that this next time. So,
yeah,
just one thing progresses to tasting something else, and it changes things.
I have a question.
Shoot.
Did you say Ed and Dog and Shrub in the same sentence?
Yes.
Yes.
Could I put in the word bought?
I don't think bought.
Because Dog and Shrub just sold.
Well, that's what I mean. He works there.
He works there.
There. He's a distiller there, but it's sold, and I don't know what the new name is, and I wasn't told what it is yet, so I'm not allowed to say that. We had that.
Because we don't know in the industry, and we're just 7 miles down the road from them at Dancing Goat. So, we always wanted one of the things that we did in the industry was allow the original owner to, the minute he opened up, have a 3-year bourbon because he made it at our place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of those give back stories that I think is just great. And if Ed's working there, that makes me feel really confident in their future.
Yeah. I know the new people expanded some of the plans and put things moving a little bit faster and more forward. So he was excited about some of the projects that you get to work on. So
perfect.
But I don't know what it is, so just not getting in trouble by saying something and maybe and shoot myself in the foot.
Awesome.
Maybe we'll find out on Monday. We'll see.
We could. So stop out for that, and then June 12th we will be having Pete from MB Roland on. We were going to be having Mudcat on, but if he was in an accident, so give him a cheers. So he will not be on that show. Well, he may be at that point, but I don't believe so. But we'll have some people on from there on the 12th. But
awesome.
Big excitement coming down. I can't wait. Totally excited to see you guys and just see the city and be to the event. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite things to do in Wisconsin. And if you haven't been there from Wisconsin, get your ass a ticket. Horrific that you don't have one. Sorry. All right, everyone. Thanks for being with us. Remember, it's not the love of whiskey. It's not the size of the den. It's the love of whiskey. Cheers. I don't know. It's just been that day. The intro thing didn't work, so it's just been one of those love. It's just been that way today. So sorry about that. Yeah, it's the old Thompson.
There you
I
go.
had some of that, and it has done a number on me.
I've closed for half an hour. It's time to get serious, boys.
So cheers, everyone. We'll see you on May 20th.
All right.
Fred, I'll
cheers.
see you at Bree Stevens tomorrow.
I'll see you at Bree Stevens tomorrow.